Hey everyone, my name is Andrew Davis, and you're watching Conversations in Pop Culture. And yes, I am scandalous like an Ashley, and this episode is brought to you by my friends over at Pocket Jack Comics. And right now they have a Kickstarter going on where they have a limited edition swimsuit cover, limited to 100. So that's ending in about 3 hours. So you should go check that out, see if you can pick it up, and they're probably not going to be reprinted. So that's enough about them, though. Great guy, Preston Poulter. But obviously, I have with me Gregbo Watson and Jason Conley. So welcome to the show.
What's happening?
What's going on, guys?
Hey, Andrew, if you get a chance, it's like send a link to the live stream to Gwen. It's like Gregbo said.
Yes.
And she'll pop on. She'll answer some questions in the chat, but she won't get on.
We'll do. But obviously, I have both of you here, and you guys got a lot going on surrounding Fate 68. I know there's a bunch of stuff going on, so you got stuff with the trading cards, you got some stuff with some comic stuff going on, and everything in between. So obviously, before we get into that, why don't you guys give a quick introduction of Fate 68, because there's people who have no idea what that is.
I'll start. Gregbo can end. I hate the fact that I can't get everybody to know who we are yet, but Fate 68 has been around for about 2 years now. And it's blown up tremendously. 7 titles. We got some top name artists. Gregbo's our #1 artist. We got people like Mike DiCarlo now. He's actually about to start doing a whole series for us, doing the interior. So you're going to get some cool throwback art from him. And we got some guys from like Sean Joyce from the Frank Frazetta Studios, who did all the industrial light and magic backgrounds for all the movies like Empire Strikes Back, working for us now. We got a movie that we're hopefully going to start shooting again now that the strike is over, for our first miniseries called The Adventures of J.P. Cummings. And now we have probably the biggest thing in indie history about to launch at the beginning of February. It's called, our next series called Living Dead Girl. And the reason why it's so big is because it's based on an image which is directly behind me that was created in the 90s, and a story created, and the whole character design was done by not only myself, but my man Gregbo Watson, which he's not been involved in much of this stuff when it comes to storylines and interiors and designs and comics since the 90s. And I'm happy and privileged to say that we're able to do that with him on this issue. And I'm going to tell you, it's a great story. And like I said, he has so much input on it, and he created a character I think that's going to make it through its longevity. And, turn it over to him, man. Tell us about how you came up with it, Gregbo.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is rock and roll, man. I just actually I designed the character before I started messing with any story. And you remember what I was telling you about? I ended up actually, I designed this character after I did my original character with Fleet. Had that look going on back in the 90s. But this character, originally I was thinking about actually bringing her into the fleet. Actually talking about bringing her into the fleet. However, about that time my son was born, and that's about the time I got out of comics for a while. He was born preemie. I said that on here before, and then I didn't get back into it a little bit later. But so I just put her on the shelf, and I've got a big giant thing over there hanging up with that image in it from back in the 90s, and it was planned to be this really cool story. I was talking to Jay one day. Well, actually, I think I sent it over to you just to look at. Just like, hey, look at this. I did this back in the 90s. And you're like, holy crap. And then we got to talking about it. And then I sat there, and Jay and I have been talking back and forth for about the past year, on and off. And, I throw out some ideas I had. Jay would come back with some ideas. I'd add to it. He'd add to it. And we ended up sitting there going, man, this is a pretty cool story, man. Let's do something with this. So we're going to bring her into the Fate 68 universe and just intertwine her into all the different stories. And she's going to have her own book, and everything connects. And Jay keeps everything in his universe just so there you go.
Yeah. And to keep it real with him and stuff, the way that he designed the character, I mean, you can just look at her and you can get a feel of her attitude with the cigar and the leather jacket. Basically, a female Lobo kind of attitude, So we played off of that with the no nonsense attitude. Of course, she's not going to be blue. You know, she's got different a few changes to it. But other than that, try to stick to the characteristics as much as possible. I wrote the storyline, handed it over to him. He approved it. It was good to go. And as a matter of fact, we got a lot of characters that Gregbo created. We're introducing to the Fate 68 world, and he's got a lot of great ideas. And I'm just happy he's trusting us to be able to put them together.
Yeah, rock and roll. We're actually bringing. We don't want to talk too much about this yet because we've got a lot of stuff going on and things are in constant motion. But some of my original characters from back in the 90s in the Flea series I did are going to be cherry picked and put into the Fate universe. So
let's actually talk a little bit about this. So much, not necessarily that, but even just the idea of creating a character and dusting that off, because you, Gregbo, haven't been involved in that for almost 30 years. Mm-hmm. And what is that like? You've done a lot of cover work, you've done a lot of other work, you've obviously done some stuff just on an art advertising level, and now to actually be in, I guess, the creative booth again versus just doing a cover, it's a whole different ballgame. I mean, we're talking 2024 versus 30 years ago was what, 1994? I mean,
right around there. A lot of this started with me back in 1994. 1997, I was about to go way back. Accidentally, 1977, I was started. But 1994 to 1997 is when a lot of my original stuff came out. And so a lot of people, not a lot of people, I mean, but you know, there's some people that don't realize that I got back all the way into the 90s in my career with the comics and such.
So what is that like though? Because it's kind of weird, I would imagine, for you to be like, "Hey, I'm not creating," and because most people I know from the idea
it's kind of like he's already had created them and he just sat on them. Like, for instance, the first issue of Living Dead Girls got a whole epilogue series in it, literally based on nothing but a cover Gregbo did and one interior page that he did back in the 90s. Yeah. Never published or anything. So I took that one cover and that one interior page and I wrote a 7-page epilogue and tied it into the thing with basically that character on the cover and the first interior page is probably something that he hasn't had published since that Zenescope time he did it. And the character that's in it is a female voodoo character, is 100% untouched, all natural, his design, his character. I didn't add anything to it. I didn't take nothing from it. And that's a new character that's going to be in the Fate 68 universe. 100% his, just based off of what he gave me.
I have Gina's. I literally, this sounds weird, but I have hundreds of characters I created back in the 90s. I know a lot of them are coming from memory. At one point in time, and this really dates me, this is how things were going back then in the early 90s. I had a little one of those old index card boxes and just a bunch of and whenever I come up with a character idea or a place or a plot or something, I just write it down on a card and slam it back in the box. I've got so many I miss. It's really crazy. So it comes from all the voices that run out there in my head. So.
Then even to dive further into this, because obviously, I mean, you're bringing also a character that the world really hasn't seen, and you're bringing it back out. And so, what is that like too? Because we are in what I like to call the age of indie comics. A lot of gatekeeping has been, broken down. Obviously, there's some still good stories from Marvel, DC, but clearly those stories have kind of fallen. And I think 5 years ago, the whole thing of doing a comic was a lot harder, where you need to be one of the big 9 publishers. And now you don't need to be that anymore. I think COVID really helped with that because a lot of people were home, a lot of people had money, a lot of money poured in. And obviously, I mean, I know, Jason, you basically built this entire thing with Fate 68 in 2.5 years to where it is right now. And so, again, you and me have spoken about this, but I think because of COVID has made it easier and more feasible to build a company in comics now than it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Mhm. Oh, absolutely. And I just want to step in and speak on what you just said. Um, yeah, the independent world is blown up and has made it a lot easier. And honestly, it's helped me out because I don't think I could have done it, you know, back in the 90s. It just wouldn't have been feasible. That's probably why Gregbo had to sit on a lot of his characters. It wasn't as easy back then. But one thing that I just to speak on my personal feelings on it is that the independent world is blown up, but there's a lot of them out there that just they don't have context. It's like sometimes I think some of them that are out there, the publishers are in it just to make a quick buck, and they're putting out just sets and TNA to make a quick buck, and there's no story behind it. Let's for instance, Brian Pulido. He's been around since the '90s because his character and story was so good. It's lasted to this day, and the books that he still puts out hit the top 10 all the time. That's because he takes pride in his character. He loves his character, and he doesn't diminish it by just doing anything just to make a quick buck, where other people will just throw something out there and they don't give a crap. They make their fast 20 grand and they're saying, on to the next. And I do not do that. I will not do that, and I refuse to do that. If I survive it, that's great. If I don't, I don't. But I make stories that people watch and love. For instance, Netflix would have never picked up our miniseries if it was a crappy story. They liked it because of the story. They didn't give a crap if it had T or A in it. They just liked the story. So that's what I pride myself on. And now that I got Gregbo, not only one of my best friends, but the depth he takes pride in his art. If there's something wrong with it, no matter what it is, whether you can see it or not, he won't put it out there because his reputation on how he thinks art should be is real, and I respect him for that.
Thank you. Going back to when you're talking about times have changed, like 10 years ago. I come from a time period where it was just me, Busby, Elf, three of us down here going around doing these different kinds. There wasn't kinds like there were today. It was just like maybe I think Dragon Con and Heroes Con over here around here. That was it. Now there's like a con every weekend everywhere we go. Back then, you didn't really have the internet to and even once it started, it was years before you could get discovered on the internet. And you still have to go through the traditional method of talking with some of the talent agents, etc. for some of these, some of the big two at the time. Marvel and DC, and you would have to go to the con with your work up under your arm and hope you could catch like one of the editors, art editors up there. Stand in line with hundreds of people, get your work critiqued, slams, call you back. It was mayhem, and just the sheer prohibitive cost to put out an indie book in the 90s. That's why you didn't see. I mean, we had some really good indie books. Let's face it. However, back during that time period, it wasn't like I could come up with an idea and just run over here and throw it on Kickstarter and do this, do that, do the other thing. It was prohibitively expensive. But if you would have told me when I was getting out of school, I was first getting into comics, that one day the indie scene was going to be like it is now, and that I was going to be working in the indie scene as opposed to and actually turn down like Marvel and DC to do this is I would have thought you were crazy. I really would have. I much prefer working in these.
No, I totally get it. I totally get it. I think that the whole scene has changed, and I think a lot of stuff has evolved. And I think it's really interesting because I think that something like your books couldn't be put out, 5 years ago, and I think there's been a real shift, and I think it's fascinating. And I even think the idea with creators as well is that you were saying something about the 20 grand. Where I know a lot of creators who really don't understand how to tell good stories. And so that's something that that's an issue. And I think it's very important because I think real good storytelling should be at the heart. I was speaking with Mike Barron, and Mike Barron is a great storyteller. If you read Bronze Star or you read something else, there's a story there. And I think that's a big problem in comics right now.
Yeah, I agree. With me, when I'm talking to somebody who's up and somebody who's up to arts, one of the things, the first thing you're going to say, and obviously, I do sometimes I find this right now, that's where my artistic sensibilities is. But when I do a pinup, and Jay knows this, Jay talks about it many times, I don't like to just throw out the door. Even if it's one image, you should look at it like you're looking at a story, because you're capturing the moment in time. And I try to put, whether it's a joke or whether it's something that just kind of some kind of action that's going on. I like to catch the action at the moment, even if it's just a sexy pose. But I like to have things in there that kind of give a hint as to where the character's been, and a hint as to where the character's go. Because it's all about story. That's it. We as humans have an innate sense of wanting a story. We want to hear the stories. This goes all the way back. Gosh, it goes all the way back to the cave paintings in the sky. I mean, that has always been storytelling. It's always been tradition. In the beginning, it was a form of communication, language to pass things down. I mean, we've got great stories that have been around for centuries that we still tell. We still see out in movies and comics. And if not the actual story, you'll see the story, the bare bones, everything kind of comes from that same well, so to speak.
Yeah. Like to add to what he said, he's taught me so much, because I don't think if I never met him and moved on, I probably wouldn't be where I'm at, because with him and the way he speaks about storytelling, we brought back, for better, for worse, like one of the biggest things, like I'm scared we'll get wet. One of the biggest things that Rob Liefeld brought to us in the '90s was a storytelling panel. The explosiveness, the coming off the panels and stuff. That was what really blew up in the '90s, and we have added that into our comic line. So now, stories and panels, they come off the page now. They just blow up, and that's all, pretty much to him and his assistants, to all the artists we got like 7 different artists that are doing interiors. And before I do anything, I send it to him. He says, hey, yes, no, yes. I respect his opinion. And to make it into any business, much less comic business, sometimes you got to know where you sit on the bus, and I know where I sit, and I know where my strengths are. So I turn to him for it, because, he knows what he's doing. I can write, he can draw, and he knows what the logistics are. And so that's why I turn to him. And everybody loves how the '90s were. And that's why our slogan is just bringing back the '90s with a new flair. I mean, with good storytelling, so we're trying to move away from the, thing where it's not, it's mature, but we can't get it, comfortable to be enough on the comic shelf. So we're now going to move into a Teen Plus type atmosphere where we can still have the mature content, but we're going to have the books move into an area where, everybody can read it, like a Marvel or a DC, and, Marvel and DC, they got great stories and stuff, but not to take anything away, but the characters have been around for, 60 something years, there's only so much you can do. I think that's why the indie world's blown up, because people are looking for something new, something different. Superman's turned different colors, turn blue, turn red, turn all kinds of things. There's only so much you can do. Kill him, bring him back, Spider-Man, the whole 9 yards. I love him to death.
Let's actually talk about this a little bit, because clearly, DC, there's only so many Batman stories you could tell in so many ways before you start repeating it or it gets boring. And I think that's a real issue with DC, and I think they've exhausted it at this point. I mean, and that's same thing with Superman, same thing with Wonder Woman, same thing with Green Lantern. Maybe you get a weird character once in a while. Like you can get a Static Shock who's newer. that has some stories that could be explored, but you also got to develop those characters. And the thing is Miles Morales, but it's just another Spider-Man. There's only so much you can do with it, but with indie and independent publishers, because I don't know if you guys are so much indie anymore. I don't even know if there is indie comics versus independent publishers. And that's a whole debate, and it's a complicated one. But I don't want to get into that. But with a new character, and this character that the two of you have obviously Gregbo created and you kind of hashed out and developed further, there's an endless amount of possibilities that this character can do. And I think that's why people are gravitating towards this, because people are saying, look, I get that Batman's died. How many times can he capture the Joker? And he's going to capture the Joker in another 6 months. And what are we doing here? And like after a while, I feel like, I don't know when was the last time you guys were in a comic shop. Have you ever picked up a Batman issue? And like, I know this story, but I don't know this art, but I know where it's going. And 6 issues later, you're like, I knew it was going to go that way.
You know, you hit the nail on the head. The stories are the same, but they bring in different artists, and people are collecting for art now. Hence, people are all over these pinups. They give up on some of these, you know, the top three storyline because it's all the same. I mean, they killed Batman off, or broke his back. Yeah, back in the Bane thing. They should have left it at that and kept, like saying Azrael's. They kill Superman off and then they bring it back. They need to leave it as it dies and bring some. Miles Morales, whether there's a million Superman or not, or Spider-Man or not, is the greatest character I've seen come out to further a series in I don't know how many decades, because he's a different character, different powers. He can carry on the whole thing, and we can slowly put aside the things that we grew up with as a child and enjoy this new character, because let's be real, they've killed Aunt May like 4 or 5 times in the whole universe, and she keeps coming back. And then when they want to bring everybody back, hey, they have something like Crisis or alternate universe. It's just at some point you got to let it go, move on, and the ride can't last forever. And right now we're on an art kick. People are gravitating to the same old stories, but they're not doing it, and they're not reading the books. They just want to see the art, and that's where I say, you know what?
I watch him. And Fate's there as well. I watch Jay. Talk to the fans will come up, and they'll buy one of my covers off his table. And he's like, oh yeah, he's right there. That's right for you. And they're like, oh yeah, I love this cover, whatever. As they're walking off, I literally say, Jay, hey, wait a minute, and then goes and grabs like a reader edition that doesn't have one that's not have one of those colors. And hands it to him. And this is yours. Because I want you to read it. Because I think, because I build the Clark, which is Clark, but it's cool. I love for you to read the book. So it actually hands it. Person ends up surprise a lot of times. That's a pretty cool thing. Because he's trying to get his stories. And he's got some really good stories going on. And you think, Jason, Jeffers, that's one of the reasons one of the fast friends when we had some out of the con is, I mean, he's growing, he's going faster, he's business a long time, and this company quicker to the level he may not be, because he talks about it, I'm like, yeah, I get it, but trust me, 3 years ahead of everybody normally said, he's come on in a short period of time. And that's a very good thing. Kudos for that.
Yeah, appreciate that, man. Yeah, that's why most of the people that get on our Kickstarters and stuff, I offer a free reader's copy. Yeah, I want you to read the book so bad because it's a great story. We launched Dolls. The first time we launched Dolls, I had high aspects, and my aspects weren't met, but it was enough. Well, the people that bought my first issue I ever released of Dolls read it, and I got more people sending stuff back to me saying I thought it was just another novelty thing. I liked the cover, it was cool, but I read the story. When is issue 2 coming out? To me, that's the greatest thing. To me, I was like, if I can get people to love the story so much where I can take a black cover and put nothing on it and say, here's the next one, and they want it, I've succeeded.
So let's actually talk about this, because this is what I find, right? Is that unfortunately, I think people have wound up in a trap on Kickstarter where they need to go out and do those variants because they need to get funded. Then they wind up in a bad girl art trap and a variant trap. And then people want to read their books, but they also have to say, cool, I need to fund it. And then you end up in this whole issue where then you have collectors on one side. It's great that people want to read it, but then you say, look, if I don't do this variant and I just do a straight cover A and B and like a blank cover, I'm not going to get funded and I can't do my project. And there you go. And you have a whole big problem. And that's where I think we are with Kickstarter. And it's almost become a collector's place, isn't a reader's place. And I think it's a massive problem.
Well, I don't think it's such a bad because yeah, it's like what Jason does. I'm not sure they're going to read because they're more likely to. And the more collectors they collect specific artists, like for example, they'll just see the cover, so they were like, okay, we're going to cover the other cover. Well, after a couple of covers, they're doing a lot of covers from this guy. Who just after the story, so they're talking to Jason about the story, everything else. That's one thing. I believe. Because it's not like it used to be years ago. It's kind of a this mask, it's kind of evolved. You've got a reader market, you've got a collector market, and each one is looking for different. So it's kind of like putting a book out, cover to cater to the readers, and also cater to the instead of just saying you collector guys, you're not gonna deal with it. And plus, you get to see you've done favorite artist signing ways. And yeah, I mean, let's face it. If this wasn't
Oh, it just happened.
I died out. You there? I think Gregbo died out.
Yeah, I think so too.
Hey, were you getting an echo from him?
A little bit. I don't know. Is Gregbo still there? Can you see us, Gregbo?
Let me send him this thing.
Let me just see if this. I'm going to remove him.
Yeah.
Can you see me now?
I do.
I see you.
There we go. Now you're good.
I don't know what happened.
That's all right.
Gremlins.
Yep.
So here's the thing. I think that if there wasn't a way to do, if people weren't doing the variant covers or whatever, I mean, here's the thing. These people, you wouldn't have all these cool covers and such, because a lot of the indies, especially the ones that are just starting out, wouldn't go out and get artists like me and Gwen or some of these other artists, some peers of mine, to do some of these books. And they may not reach as quick that audience. And I don't think there would be as many people going in and clamoring for them as there would have been, like, say, Marvel and DC's done a lot. Let's just face it, guys. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. They've done a lot in the last 5 or 6 years to really turn readers away. I mean, they just have. We won't get into what it is, but they have. Everybody's got different reasons for going away, but they just have. And they're looking to the independent market, but it's not. People are kind of burned out on, so like we were talking about before, on some of the stories that they just keep rehashing and just changing certain aspects about the character, but nothing in depth about the story,
So let me ask a slightly controversial question, because
yeah.
I don't even think it's so much that Marvel and DC have turned people away. I think that's part of it, but I also think that entertainment as a whole has become more competitive. Like my favorite show is Yellowstone.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I have the ability to go read Batman, watch wrestling, watch Yellowstone, watch some other show on Netflix like Cobra Kai, or watch Law and Order, I have
Or go to see Stranger Things with Jason in it.
I mean, there you go too. All of a sudden, I have really, really good choices. And so now what I think it becomes is that I think competition has become much, much, much harder.
I
Because
don't think
guess
that's
what?
it.
You do or you don't.
I don't. I totally don't. Because hold on, Jay, before you get into it. Here's why I think that, okay? Because we're at a point in time, because remember, I was of the generation that I had to get home. If I wanted to see Wizard of Oz once a year, I had to be home on that night and sit through the commercials. And if my parents got me home just a little bit later, I missed it for a whole nother year. Now you can just pull it up on your phone and you can just watch it. You can watch these things. So you would make time for things that you wanted to make time for. You know, like if I want to watch Yellowstone, I can watch it the night it comes out, or I can watch it the day after, or I can watch, I can finish up the cover work I'm doing and then watch it way late at night, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
So I don't disagree. Sorry to cut you off. I agree that's part of it, where you can watch things whenever you want and on demand. But I also say if there's 15 choices and I only have hours in my week, and all those 15 choices are 25.
Oh, sure. Yeah, sure.
And so now if Batman
called the snowflake era.
Well, yeah, because I'm not going to, that's one thing I always jump on. You have to understand, if somebody sits there and says, oh, there's superhero fatigue, or, oh, the reason these aren't doing well is because superhero fatigue, or people have other things they want. Okay, here's the thing. I do so many cons. Jason will tell you, I do way more than I should. Not a con goes by where I don't hear at least 10, 15 people come up to my booth and complain about what is out there right now and being driven away from all this stuff. They don't like it. They don't like the direction it's going. And nobody in power is listening. Or if they are listening, they just don't care. So that's great for me, because I get to work more in the indies, because that's what they're coming. I mean, I still have people who love Batman, who love everything about Batman. They will come up and they will commission me, back when I was still taking commissions, to do their favorite Bat character. And I'm like, oh, are you keeping up with them? No, I hadn't read it since blah, 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 Bat. And I'm just like,
he hasn't read many Bar series.
Well, yeah, that is true. That's me. But
that's
I'm talking about them. Somebody who's willing to plunk down a couple $100 to get me to draw Batgirl. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, obviously this person's just diehard Batgirl fans reading Batgirl, and they're like, no, we're done with it. We read the old ones. They don't read the new ones. The new ones are trash. I mean, they just are. I mean, that's controversial maybe, but it is. They are.
Well, it's an easy explanation. Hey, Gregbo, the next Strange Twist of Fate series, will you do the interiors for it?
No.
There. Problem solved. If you want to see some Gregbo artwork, you'll get a variant cover, because Gregbo doesn't do interiors. That's the majority of the people that do art.
I used to, and I love doing interiors and I love storytelling. But as Jason knows, because we've had this conversation along with a couple other publishers, I don't do interiors anymore. The last interiors I did was for Zenoscope, and I like doing the storytelling, but man, I love doing covers far more, because I'm not drawing the same thing over and over again. I can just go in and just do this.
He's OCD. It'll take him forever to do it. And the other thing is,
guilty. I draw my interiors like I draw my covers with. Yeah. I don't like. How some artists will sit down and I hate to use the word dumb down their art, but they'll simplify it a little bit, because there's just so many panels you have to draw, et cetera, and get it done by a certain time. And it just drives me crazy if I try to do that. And I'll look at it and go, Well, yeah, she's standing in a parking lot. There'd be all kind of gravel and stuff flying by. And so I've got to ink and draw all that stuff. And if you ever see any of my interiors, you will go, yeah, there's no way this man's going to draw interiors ever again.
And that's the point. People want a Shikari. They want a Shikari art. He don't do interiors. So that's where this art and cover thing comes from. Why we have so many variants, because people want to see their favorite art done by some of their favorite artists who does not do interiors. That's just how it is. So we'll have it. Go ahead.
So I mean, I find that, I mean, I love cover art, right? Because I don't have to follow a whole story to appreciate a piece and cover art. Also, it's a conversational piece. Also, when you add an element of rarity to it, and I run an eBay business and I sell a lot of this stuff, but I also have my own personal collection. It's very cool when you have a limited 100 and 99 other people also have that book, and then you all are in a club and it doesn't come out, or when they do come out and they do go on eBay, they go for a lot of money because they're rare and far in between. I just bought a one of one from a company called Stupid Little Monkey.
And I love them. Shout out to Stupid Little Monkey.
Yeah.
I've done some covers for them.
Steve's coming on next week. It's great. So I bought a 101. It's like a super.
Be sure to tell him I said, hey.
Hey, he actually mentioned it on the Whatnot after I bought it. It was funny. But anyway, not the point. But the idea is that I know that 101 is super limited, and a bunch of people want them, and there were some serious fights on that for Whatnot, and there's some serious bidding, and I knew my budget, and I was very outclassed very quickly, I might add. But the 101s is that I know there's only one of them, and it's a really rare club. It's the only club. It's a club of one. And so that's what I think is also with variants, is that if I know Gregbo has a limited 100 or a limited 250 or whatever it is.
Or a limited 5 black metal series cover.
Yeah, the fake black metals.
Yeah, we got a yeah.
But
we actually have released a thing where we are retiring the covers that Gregbo did, and they're called Fate 68 Black Metal Signature Series. They come in a black wooden box and display case, and there's only 5 printed of them, and they're both front and back metals, all black. And once we print them in black, we retire the covers to not be printed again. We've done his Wednesday Adams, and we've done our pinhead versions, and this is actually the 4th one that's going to be a black metal cover, and there's only 5 of these.
Let's actually talk a little bit about that, because not so much the covers, but even just the idea of retiring a cover, as well as also sending it off. I'm a big Hot Wheels collector, and Hot Wheels has something called Final Runs. So Final Runs is the last iteration of that car. And so they put on the best tires. It's a more expensive car. It's maybe like a $7 or $8 car. And every once in a while, they'll actually encapsulate and airtight up the car, and that's like an $11 car. But it's the last time they're ever going to print it. And after every single car is poured and built, they break the mold. And so it's a very cool thing. And so what is this like for you to actually say, cool, we're not just going to retire these covers. We're going to put them in a metal. We're going to put them in a wooden box, and we're going to make it a real collector's item for the people who want that cover and want the end of, I guess, not an era, but of that cover's life as far as a cover. Because I think it's interesting when you create a product out of something.
It's
being that it's black, in the coffin style. And if you're speaking one of one, I do one of ones all the time. And as a matter of fact, we got, you ready? Remember, Gregbo? We got a one of one of a holiday Harley Quinn cosplay cover that we just recently did. And for the first time ever in history, that is signed. It's a front and back metal, comes in a wooden display case with a glass cover, and it has my signature, Gregbo's signature, and for the first time in history, Gwen's signature on it. Never has she signed anything ever, and this is the first time she did it.
First and the last. It'll be the last of that cover and the first.
And it's a one of one, and guess how much it costs? Nothing. We gave it away in a drawing on our holiday special, so somebody just won it. And then the Living Dead Girl, we have these box sets. We only printed 100 of that have variants that you can only get in Gregbo's secret cover in these box sets, and you can only get them in there. And in one of those box sets, there is a one-of-one leather-bound metal cover that's got a front and back leather cover of Living Dead Girl, and is printed on parchment paper, and it's called the Book of the Living Dead. It's the only one printed, and it's in one of these boxes that is randomly packed. And out of all of them, if everybody buys all 100 of those collections, and when I say box, I'm talking a box about like this big, filled of covers. One that Gregbo did, the original one that's behind me now, in paperback, metal, and then our third black metal cover release to retire it is going to be of this cover, and 5 of those 100 boxes will have one of those black metals in it. So either way, the minimum value of one of those boxes is $750 that lead up to $1,500, and we're only selling them for $250, and you get at least 15 different covers, maybe more if you get one of those boxes that have the special editions in it.
He did one. He's kind of like a mad scientist at this stuff. It's really cool. I'll sit there and go, man, that's genius. What was it? It was a cover that you brought up, and it had a bunch of my Fate covers in it, some other stuff, but the key charm of the thing was Jay and I were sitting at lunch one day, and he hit me up and he said he was asking me for me and Gwen to do a cover, and it was like a pumpkin Halloween cover. I grabbed a pen and I drew it on a napkin from the piece, kind of roughly what I was thinking. And Jay's like, "Can I keep that?" I'm like, "Sure."
Yeah, he signed it.
Okay. He said, "Sign it." I'm okay. Now let me eat my pizza. And so Jay, stuffed it away. About 8 months later, he goes, "Hey, guess what I'm doing? I'm putting that sketch in a box." And I was like, "Holy cow!" Okay.
It was a one-of-one gold box that I made that had all the special covers that there was, and inside it was that original concept design sketched on the napkin that he signed, was available only in that. So it was a one-of-one deal. I like to share it with people, man.
Let's actually talk about this, because I've announced this every once in a while. I get a little controversial. People say it's anticlimactic. I disagree. But every once in a while, I will buy out a print run from a publisher. And so I just did it again, and I bought out a hollow foil limited 15 print run. It's not as expensive as people think it is. And the reason why is that obviously I sell on eBay, and I want to eliminate competition. And so when there's only 50 books printed, it's a little bit more expensive for me to buy something up. When there's 15 of them, I mean, all of a sudden I have complete control, and I control that destiny. And I think it's
That's
very,
pretty
very
good idea. I like that.
Yeah, it is.
I know everybody's going to steal it. It's great. It's great. It's absolutely wonderful. It gets better on how I do things. I do it every quarter because I have enough money that I have a high yield savings account, and I use the interest to buy out the print run, and then I replenish my funds, and then I wait 3 months because it restores the interest. So I'm spending the interest, not the principal. Oh, it's sick. And I don't have to worry about it because I could put the book at any price I want to put it at. And there you go. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Business 101, guys. But anyway,
let me know, because first 2 days when we released the Wednesday black box editions, they sold out, and then the pinheads, somebody bought 2 at one time, and then another one, and I pulled 2, so we got like 2 black boxes of the pinheads left, and I'm kind of like on the fence if I want to let them go, because people are buying them at like $500-$600 now. So there's only 5, but I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Well, there's been a couple of times, like with the black metals, that they've sold out before we even got to make a post about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Weird.
Yeah.
I was like,
when you're limited to 5,
when I post this, he goes, "We can't." I said, "Why?" He goes, I just sold the last one. What?
Yeah. Hey, give me 1 second. Hey guys, go ahead. I can still hear. I got to step away.
So no. I find it interesting. I find this whole space to be fascinating. Obviously, I buy a lot of Mount Olympus. I buy Bad Wolf. I really enjoy things like Bad Wolf, Mount Olympus, Big Dog Inc. And
Yeah.
I understand it. And look, I'm going to be testing stuff with Stupid Little Monkey. I just haven't gotten around with them.
They're
And-
great people, man.
Steve's been on before. I love
Yeah.
Steve. He's absolutely great.
We've got a couple of, Gwen and I have a couple of things. We've done some stuff for them before, but we got a couple of things coming up with them.
And so, I mean, I appreciate what they do and I get it. But again, I don't know how it's going to work in my store because we just haven't gotten to that point. But I appreciate their stories. I appreciate their art. I appreciate the funness of it. I don't know if funness is a word, but it is now.
Let me give you a story, okay? So I met them originally down at MegaCon in Florida, you know, and I just went nuts over their name. All right. So they go walking off. I immediately messaged Gwen because they'd asked about us doing a cover and stuff. I said, "You're not going to believe this." I said, "There's going to be some people contacting you, and a stupid little monkey." Gwen goes, "What?" Yeah. You know the story, Jay. So Gwen's sitting there as only Gwen can do, and she's like, "Oh, I just can't wait to do this cover. I can't wait to do this cover." I said, "Well, yeah, okay." She goes, "Well, the thing is, I'm going to get them to pay me by check. So I could actually have the check that says I was paid by a stupid little monkey." And that just made her day. They can ask Gwen to do just about anything. She'll do it because Gwen loves them to death.
Hey, real quick. Here you go, man. Well, this is one of the black boxes that I was telling you about. If I can keep it from disappearing. This one's sealed. So this is like the pinhead version of it. They come sealed, signed, and they both got the authenticity in it.
Those pinhead ones, I mean, I love all the black covers. The pinhead one, gosh.
Yeah, pinhead's like his go-to.
Well, it just turned, the story of the pinhead cover is bizarre.
You really going to bring up that?
Well, I'm not going to go into detail about that one thing, and you know why. But so it started out. I went and did a signing at a store, and it's this sweetheart of a guy. It's Raptor Comics down in
Chris. He's the greatest guy you could meet.
I love Chris. Chris is so
my
sweet.
God, yeah! Shout out to Raptor Comics in Somerville. Great
that's
guy.
what I was looking for. So we're out there, and me and Misty are doing a sign in his store. So he got started talking to me. See that? Look at that.
A little bit higher.
A little bit higher.
I'm trying to keep it from disappearing on us.
There we go.
And then the back is even cooler.
The back is even cooler. What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, the art is great on the front. I'm just talking about the way the back is.
Okay, but so I'm sitting down in the store, right? And the owner, Chris, he's got horror memorabilia all through the place. And God love him, because every once in a while, you know, somebody will ask me and they say, "Hey, you know, would you do me a commission?" And I was like, "Well, you know, I don't have a lot of time, but okay, Chris, you know," because he goes, "Yeah, I was wanting to do a horror commission." I was like, "Yeah, okay." He said, how about Pinhead? I just really want a Pinhead." I said, "Okay." I said, "But it's going to have to be a female Pinhead because I'm not drawing a male Pinhead." And I said, "I don't draw guys on my covers, you know, unless it's in the background or something, way off waving on a hill or something." And Chris was like, "Oh, okay, that'd be cool." So I did this. Oh my gosh, original piece of artwork, and I scanned it in so I'd have the inks, you know, because I was like, I'm going to do something with this. And then I went and markered it up, colored it in marker, and Chris about had a freak out over it. Okay, well, Jay saw it. Jay's like, "Can Gwen color that? Can we use it as a cover?" I said, "Sure." And I said, "We're going to color it anyway." And so Gwen colored it, and then we did a naughty version because, you know, we want to have a naughty version for the thing. And then it went out, and the original was red and orange. Well, there's a little situation that we will not get into, kayfabe. And anyway, we had to do some more. So and Jay had already had them kind of limited. So he goes, "Well, man, I'm just not going to be able to, you know, how are we going to be?" I said, "Let's do a blue version." So we did a blue version. The blue version, people went just ape over. Okay, couldn't keep those things in. Can't keep those pinheads in for nothing. And then, so then finally we ended up, we were talking about the black liquid metal, the black metal series. And this was just Jay and I just running off ideas off each other on the phone one day. And so we ended up, so we're doing the pinhead. So that's going to be the final one because we had already, there's an orange, there's a orange and red
Blue.
flames, there's a blue.
Metal versions.
And then there's metal versions, yeah.
What makes it even cooler, I was able, since it's a cosplay, one of the characters that is in the first issue of Pumpkin is a shapeshifter, and she made her introduction as the Pinhead character actually in the story of the first issue that is of that, which makes it even kind of more neat. And it's not just a cover of a cosplay, it's a cover of a character that's in the story cosplaying as that character, so it is even better. So it really worked out great for us.
Oh yeah.
No, that's interesting. And look, you know, it is obviously I try to get creative and I look for creative products for my eBay store. And obviously that's how I view things and that's what I'm aiming for. And I appreciate when people get creative on Kickstarter, get creative in their business, because I think that is also very much lacking in comics right now. Because there's making the book, and I don't think we have a creativity problem in comics. I think we have every other problem in comics, including cash flow, marketing, getting products that are different, standing out, you know, getting something and figuring out what your customers want, exactly what they want, what type of art they want, you know, how do you convey and say, this is what my story is about, and here's why you should buy it. And I think those are all the problems, because I don't think creativity is the issue. I don't. For the most part in comics right now. I think it's much more complicated. And I think this black metal signature stuff is very, very cool in that regard.
You got to think rarity. I think as a collector, when I grew up.
Gwen's in here listening, so everybody say hello, Gwen.
Hey, Gwenny! See, let me show you something. This and I'll even bring out. What goes better with comic books when you were growing up? What did most of them do? Skateboards. I created a skateboard line. This right here is a skateboard with the art of Dan Fraga on here of one of our first characters we ever did. Here's the prototype skateboard we first did. I already sold the one of Pinhead that has his art on it, and we only did 5 of each. And then we got another one somewhere, but yeah, skateboards, we expanded to get out of that area. So yeah, it's like most people got to say, if I was 16 again, what would I buy? You know, and besides Playboys, you got to say, you know, what about comic books? And unfortunately, and it chaps my ass. Gregbo knows it chaps my ass, and he hates it when I get on this tangent, but I cannot stand publishers posting Kickstarters with nothing, no story, nothing but crappy images of TNA that have no solid value whatsoever that diminishes it. Let me stop because I'll get on a tangent. I hate that shit because I'm a writer. It's like Gregbo. He's an artist. When he sees people, yeah, it's like I take pride in my work, and when I see other people benefiting off of stuff that is just ridiculous, it pisses me off. And you know, and Gregbo's an artist, and it's like he takes, you know, a special offense to when he sees people making crap off of AI that have no talent. It's just it's crap. That's the downfall of what will happen with independent, and I hope it dies soon, real soon. Whew.
You feel better now?
Yeah, I feel better. I just had to let that out. Let me get back on my 43. Go on with chlorophyll.
Well, y'all say hello to Miss Gwenny because she is in here listening. Or
are you listening, Gwen? You need to say something in the chat so we know you're there.
She's told me she's here because she literally came in a minute ago and she goes, "I love the little monkey." I said, "Are you watching?" She said,
The little monkey. The little monkey.
they're absolutely great people. They are absolutely great people. They're fantastic, and I want to do business with them. I do, and slowly but surely, I hope I get to, because I think their product is going to be great in my store. It works well with things like Xenoscope, Big Dog Inc. It works well with Mount Olympus. It works well with a few other people, and I think I'll do it right with it. And I hope so. And but some of their covers are a little too extreme for me. I'm not a full frontal guy. I'm not a full frontal guy.
Yeah, and that's what I respect about that man right there. He ain't either.
I like topless. I'm fine with topless.
Oh, there she is.
Yep. There's our Gwenny.
Oh, see, you can actually see Glenn. You can participate now. We just got to see your comment pop up.
I'm gonna remove you for
I gotta say, not to try to just, be partial, but I mean, I don't know. I can't even say enough about Gwen and Gregbo. Those two right there are a perfect mesh. And what I respect about Gregbo is he will not let nobody color his stuff except Gwen, and that's because he knows who the best is in the business. And you got to respect that. You got to respect that. And there's not enough people that do that. For him to be able to say that means that money doesn't mean everything to him, because he could easily say, you know what, I'll have anybody do it just because I can flip more covers. And he doesn't do that. That's honorable. Where other people say, I don't give a crap. I just want to put something out there to make money. And that's why I like working with this guy.
I want to ask this question because Paul Green utilizes, I think, only Ula Moss or Sabine Wretch if somebody's not available. And every once in a while, there's another colorist who works with Paul Green. But it's really Ula Moss or Sabine Wretch are the main two. Same thing with J. Scott Campbell. I think it's Sabine Wretch and almost exclusive. It might have changed, but I think there is some that should be said about when a artist says, I'm only working with one or two people because I know they're gonna do what needs to get done.
Absolutely.
And I think I can hand it to Gwen and not worry, because she'll knock it out of the park every time.
Yeah, and that shows how much he respects his art and how much he cares about it. He's not trying to make a buck real fast. He's trying to create a legacy for people to say, hey, this is my art and I want it to be the best it can be. And he gives it to Gwen and she makes it the best it can be.
Truth. Yeah. And every time I'm at a con now, I'll be sitting there at a con and someone will go, where's the Gwen? I'll say in Canada.
She's about just as popular as he is. She's probably more popular because she doesn't ever show her face. She probably doesn't really exist as far as I know.
Oh, you know.
It's probably Misty on the other line. We don't know.
Oh, you know she exists.
Yeah, I've had my eyes handed to me quite a few times from her. Oh, I love you, Gwen. You're the best.
I'll be very surprised if I have a sponsor next week. See, no, that's not true though. My sponsor paid till June.
Surprise!
You gotta have this one to go.
I look at her picture. I know. Oh goodness.
Oh man.
We have a good time, gosh. Gwen also, a lot of people know this, Gwen keeps our schedules. So when somebody hits me up, and even Jay, Jay and I talk on the phone all the time, but whenever Jay hits me up, I'm like, talk to Gwen.
You need to ask Gwen.
So ask Gwen. I said, schedule it, Gwen. And she keeps me on point, even when I'm going through, because as an artist, every so often, I'll go through one of my lulls where I hate everything I'm drawing. There's a couple days in a row, I'll just say, I don't want this. Oh, this is horrible. I'm dragging my hand. Gwen's like, we've got on the SX covers. And I'm like, okay, thank you. We're good.
I'll tell you what, I love Gwen. The reason I love Gwen, she's the only person ever in this entire world that recognized me in my debut on Aquaman as a fish.
Hashtag puddles.
A little inside thing for you there, Gwenny.
Yeah, I enjoyed the first Aquaman. The second one,
I was one of the fishes. I was Puddles. Gwen saw me.
I have a friend who worked on that. Lex Lang worked on Aquaman. He's great. He's great. He's absolutely fantastic. He does all of the when voice actor has something else to do, he'll do the voiceover work for them, and he's really good because he's married to Sandy Fox, and Sandy Fox is Chibiusa. So there you go. It's
no kidding.
It's a small world. It's a really small world.
Gwen, yes, Puddle.
But I do want to show at least some covers from
yes.
I don't know if it came out yet.
Yes, Greg, I want you to speak on one of them when you see him because you like. Well, I don't know if anybody knows Jacob Thompson. He goes by Kinky Cuties, and he's a phenomenal artist. He does a lot of these covers. He's real popular. Yes.
So there's that one. Then there's this one.
Yep, that one is done by one of our new guys we got. He did an homage to the Web of Spider-Man, the whole Death of Craven series, and we did that just because it fit the whole image. He'll be doing one of our series that's coming out called The Defects.
And then there's this one, which is obviously Keith.
The original guy that drew the original cover drew this, Mike DiCarlo.
Jason loves homages.
Right, and I love old school artists because they're the ones that paved the way for where we are now.
I mean, this is definitely Lobo, right? And it's a reference to Keith and what he did with that cover, the first one around. Right?
This cover was done by Mike DiCarlo.
No, I'm talking the reference to when Lobo first came out. Isn't this an homage to that cover?
It's an homage, but the guy that did the original cover was Mike DiCarlo.
Then Keith must have wrote Lobo, right? He created Lobo, right?
He wrote it, but Mike DiCarlo was the one that designed and created the entire first cover for Omega Men. The first appearance of Lobo, the entire cover and everything was done by Mike DiCarlo. And he recreated it for us because the whole concept of Living Dead Girl being a female style Lobo, he put that in there and created that cover for us because I told him a little bit about what she is, who she is, and how she is. And that's how he came up with that concept. And he goes, well, what if we do an Omega Man homage cover of my first cover I did for the first appearance of Lobo and put her in? I said, sounds perfect.
And then this one, I think, is the last one you showed me.
Fabio Samaya, I hope I said it right. He does Wolfpack and a bunch of other comics, and he is amazing. He did this cover, and this cover was actually colored. Speaking of colors, by the guy I can't pronounce it, Nebula. I can't pronounce his name because it's hard for me to say, but he did Battle Chasers. He's the guy that colored all the Battle Chaser stuff, and he did this one for us. Hector is his name. And he did that, and he did the interiors for Living Dead Girl. He colored all those. And there's one cover I don't think I sent you. I wish I did, but is done by an artist that has just started drawing interiors and stuff for the past year. And he's probably one of Gregbo's favorite up-and-comers, William.
Yeah, I love
great guy. Oh, he does. Nicest guy in the world. And let's see if I can send it to you. I'd love for you to show it. Let's see.
And yes, Lynn and I are going to be doing a cover or two for Living Dead Girl.
Yes, we got. Can we speak about 6 or not? You know,
what?
New Roman numeral 6.
Might have missed one. I think I have
one.
Yeah,
you're talking about Roman numeral 4.
Roman numeral 4, yes. Can we? Yeah, I'm not good at that. Can we speak about that?
Well, I've got a really good buddy.
So I might have the cover you're referring to, because I think you did send it to me.
Is she on a bike? No, that's actually Sean Joyce, the guy that did all the Industrial Light and Magic back stuff.
You sent me that one, and then I might have missed one. I don't know if you sent me the bike one.
The bike one? Okay, let me see. Oh, there she is. I got you covered.
I don't know if you're sending it to me or.
I'm hoping I do.
Totally professional, guys. Totally professional.
You're gonna see Conley throw his computer in a minute. I have seen that. I've seen that happen.
Actually, this is my fourth computer, to be honest with you.
And why is that, Jay?
Yeah, because I hate technology.
I love technology. Like, I can't live without technology, and I'm addicted to it. It's a real problem.
You'd be the only one, because I can't stand that crap. Gets on my nerves.
He about threw his phone up against the wall one day at a Comic-Con because he couldn't get something.
Oh, Gregbo, come on, man. I thought we were going to let that go. Hey, that's free.
You remember Misty telling you, are you going to feel better if you smash your phone against the wall? And Jason turns around, yes,
actually, I would. Yes, I would feel a whole lot better. Here you go. All right, I just sent it through Messenger, so you're about to get it. This is the guy that Gregbo really likes, and he's doing a lot of the interiors for Pumpkin and all the other stuff. So I just sent it to you.
He's an up and comer. He does good work.
Oh man, this dude here, and his personality is great, but his art, it explodes like the 90s. It's just, he's been really doing good, and he's only been doing it a year. That's what the crazy thing is.
Well, he hadn't just been drawing a year. He's just been doing comics.
Well, no, yeah, he's been doing art more than that, but he's never done comics interiors until this past year. He's the one that did all the Pumpkin series, the last issue of Dolls, and he will be doing more for us in the future, but he did this cover for us.
Let's actually talk about even just finding new talent, because I love finding new artists for a lot of reasons. I want my mind to be blown. So I just found this guy who does work for Leaf Metal, which is a trading card company, and they do Anime Nation. So basically what Leaf Metal figured out is that there's a bunch of people who are like me, who love anime and love sports. So why not combine the two of them together? And if they're on trading cards, they're print to order, and some of them go for really good money. And it's one of those things where, like, they did Brock Purdy, they did Shohei Ohtani, and they've done all these. They just did Peyton Manning, and this Japanese artist, nobody knew who he was. And I love finding people who do new things, and I'm like, man, I've never seen anything like this. And so what is that like too for you guys? Because obviously when you want to bring in new blood, but then you have Gregbo, who is, I guess, a veteran, and then I'm out, guys. All righty.
We're spanking that thing and put it over there.
It's gonna be a miracle. Watch this. My sponsorship rate's gonna go up tomorrow. Just watch.
It should go up. It shouldn't go down. You'll have McDonald's here in a little bit. You're gonna see Living Dead Girl in that Happy Meals.
My sponsorship rate's gonna go up in like so many ways. But anyway. What is that, like that fresh blood? Because I think it is important for companies.
Well,
to find
I'll tell you this much. I get people all the time sending me stuff. And if I see something I have to take a step back and say, if I was a customer and a collector and I saw this, would I buy it? And if I got like just a 75% chance of a yes, I say, Gregbo.
I was about to say,
opinion.
I was about to say, because what happens is Jay will hit me up and he'll find this artist. And when you first look at it, I'll get it on my phone and I don't hit him back right away, because I'll look at it and I'll just be like, okay, let me think on this for a little bit, because it looks really cool. But then I'll go at it and look at it from years of experience and go, okay, here's this could cause a problem down the road. This, blah, blah, blah. Cause I can kind of deconstruct and see where things are going and what the artist is thinking. And, so then I'll hit Jay back and I'll say, oh yeah, I think, this is pretty solid, hit him up. Or I'll say, well, Jay, there's some problems. There's a problem or two in this.
And then what sucks about it is there's a couple of times I see some that I think I really won't, but out of respect, I'll ask him, and he kind of has like, well, it's got this and that, and I'll be like, God dang it, I really want this guy, but that just shows the fact that it doesn't matter if I started or run this company. I respect this guy so much that it doesn't matter. I was like, okay, if Gregbo says so, I trust him that much to say, all right, I'm going to move on. That's just how it is. It took me a lot of time and a lot of experience and honestly, a real bad blow up, whatever, with some people to say, you know what, you need to reevaluate things in your life and you need to know where you sit on this bus. And, I brought Gregbo in and I have respect what he says, and he's been doing it longer than I have. And I got to sit back and say, okay, I may think this person's great, but Gregbo says no, and I'm going to go with it. But period.
It's interesting that you bring this up because I've had to put in parameters. And obviously my parameter list is very different, where I used to get solicited all the time. And I am very much a curated show. And I'm not saying, I'm not going to name, there's a lot of shows that take everybody. And that's not my goal in life, where I want to curate my content. I want to know what content I have. And I hate to say this, and it's going to make me sound like an asshole, but I cut up and I create micro content out of all these interviews. I create TikToks. I create a lot of other content. And I want to make sure that when I'm interviewing somebody, that there's stuff that I can pull that could benefit me and benefit them. And
why else would you do it?
You better make me a really cool TikTok character.
I want to be a gift that just like does a Max Headroom thing.
but it sounds weird because then I'm looking at somebody's project and I'm like, I don't even know if your thing's gonna fund, and it makes me sound like an asshole. But like I have to protect what I've done. And then when you're interviewing a top voice actor, and I've interviewed all these people from Naruto, and I'm a huge anime fan, like I don't want to just put somebody who's a brand new creator, or even if they have 3 or 4 in, but they haven't, they're not going to bring anything insightful in. And it sounds like I'm an asshole when I say that, but I have to be now, and it sucks. It is the worst part when 30 people really need an interview, and I'm like, you don't qualify, because I don't think, and I look at their campaign, I'm like, this is not at the level it needs to be at. And I'm not like, and it's not that they're not a nice person. It's not, it's just their book isn't there. And I'm saying this is problematic for me later on. And I hate to say it that way, and it makes me seem like an asshole. But I don't know.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's an asshole thing. I think it's the truth. It's like me when I get a whole bunch of people trying to make it into the business. I have to look at them objectively and be like, I don't want to tell you you're crap because, where you're at with the level and experience you got, you may be perfect, but it's just not going to fit. Like,
well,
I used to love, perfect example. There's a guy that does covers for us. I'm not going to say his name that I may think is great and they look stupendous, but Gregbo says, you've got to cut down because the covers you put out there is going to represent what kind of quality you got. And so there's some guys that I thought I liked and enjoyed their work, but Gregbo's like, it's gotta stop, because if it don't, you're going to be known for putting out low par quality. And I had to move on. I mean, it's just, I got to listen to people that know what they're doing. I mean, it's like,
go
ahead.
What we're talking about, like you have to refresh talent, because I know both of y'all know what I'm going to be referring to, the wrestling business. It's like when you got the wrestling business and you've got a wrestler that's coming through and they're on the top of their game, they're going through a hot run at the time, but you also have to look at the indies and start farming some of these people up, because there's going to be injuries. That person's going to move on. The person's going to get older, and you have to always be looking for what's next. And that's just smart business.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I have to plead the fifth on this because I'm about to bring up something that I don't need to, so I'm going to let it go.
Look,
Kayfabe.
look, I mean,
Well,
I'll be the first to say this, and you cosplayers, and I've taken specs on cosplayers, and some of those people have gone on to go do amazing things. And then when somebody has 30,000 Instagram followers, and then 3 years later they have 600,000, you got to take some specs on people. But I've also had things blow up in my face as well. But I also try to stay, on the course and say, well, you meet parameter A, B, C, and D. And every once in a while you have to deviate. You got to take a chance. And I don't think there's anything wrong with taking a chance on somebody, because if I take a chance and it's a Hail Mary at the end of the game, if you catch it, great, you won. If you didn't catch it, you don't get criticized the same way because you knew it was a Hail Mary. But I'm not going to go snap the ball as the quarterback every single time and throw a Hail Mary. And that's kind of where I'm at. And I think it's the same. I would imagine it's the same with covers. I mean,
your wrestling thing, he's got a great point. I mean, Gregbo won't know this as much because he's still old school, but I think Andrew, you'll catch it. The first time Drew McIntyre came out, they built him up as the next big thing. The whole babyface thing, Vince McMahon said this is gonna be the next big thing. They let him go. It just wasn't his time. He looked great at the time. He came back years later, won the championship. He's a big name, and he's made something out of himself. It's just all about timing. It's just when it is and when it ain't. Who we got now? What's his name? What is his name? He's a big guy. I love him now. He's like 40 years old, isn't he?
LA Knight?
LA Knight. My kids love him. I liked him from day one. I said, there's something about this guy that I just love to death.
There's something wrong with y'all watching this stuff.
See, that's why I can't talk wrestling with him. He's so old school. We still have to talk about
is with my son, Brett Watson.
whatever. LA Knight is bringing back that old school Raw the way it was back in the 90s. He is got it.
You think Raw is old school?
LA Knight is.
I'm talking.
Andrew, help me out here, man. Is LA Knight the savior of what used to be the best?
So I am a fan of Eli Drake. Did you got the joke, right? You got the joke, right?
No.
Come on, man. Because he's so old school, he doesn't know these new wrestlers. I told him one day to watch Raw because they had a.
Yeah, tell him that story. Tell him that story. He calls me up one night. Jay calls me up one night and tell him what you told me about.
I said, hey, man, you need to watch Raw. They have all the old school wrestlers on their stuff. He turns it on and he said, that's the pile of drizzling shit, as he says. He goes, what was that? I said, what are you talking about? And he's like, that is not, no.
So
I mean, a little less than them walking around in canes. I was like, I don't know. I thought it was great.
First off, I actually just got a NXT 2.0 hobby box, and I pulled a 049 Drew McIntyre autograph parallel card.
Oh, so really?
On a $40 box, that's really good. That's a really good price. And then I pulled a Finn Balor, just regular autograph card on my second one that I bought for $40. Beautiful, beautiful, best deal ever that I've ever pulled out. But Eli Drake is LA Knight, just an impact. Wrestling.
Yeah.
I
mean, no different than Stone Cold when he started.
But this is my question to both of you. What is old school wrestling? Is old school wrestling going back to the 90s, or is it the John Cena Edge era?
80s?
No, you're talking 80s. We're going like way back. Way back. Give it to him, man. Give it to him.
I can go all the way back to Farmer Burns, but right now, the 80s and back.
There was no WWF when me and him say old school.
No, I'm not talking about WWF in the 80s. That was a cartoon kid show.
No, I said there was no WWF as far as we consider.
I'm talking Jim Crockett Promotions. I'm talking about Mid-South, World Class, Florida Championship.
Are you talking Puerto Rico too? Like the Puerto Rico.
Jerry Lawler had his own wrestling division as old school. We're talking.
Is this Andy Kaufman era stuff?
Yes, absolutely.
Because I love Andy Kaufman.
Andy Kaufman was a genius in wrestling. He was made to be a wrestling heel.
He was taken way too soon. Andy Kaufman.
Yeah. You know,
we're talking Roddy Piper takes a coconut and smashes it or throws them through the window of his sitcom he had on the show. Rowdy Piper. Double black and white face. Rowdy Piper. That's old school.
You guys both know who I got to interview, right?
Who?
The like one of the greatest tag teams of all time, the Bushwhackers.
Oh, they're
the
cool.
Bushwhackers.
No. Let's rephrase that. That is very cool. But prior to the Bushwhackers, they were the sheep herders, and they were far cooler as the sheep herders.
Weren't they also like the Kiwis at one point?
Yes, they were amazing. Did y'all know Gwen's a pro wrestler? She's the French assassin.
Everybody, and he's a friend of mine. You know, I know him personally because he hooks us up every so often with tickets. You know, everybody knows Randy Orton, but it takes a lot for people to realize Randy Orton came from, Cowboy Bob Orton. I mean, his dad had the broken cast. He did the whole thing. I mean, that's old school right there.
I mean, those matches, Randy Orton versus The Undertaker, they set the casket on fire, and then Bob Orton was in that too. That was some good shit. I mean, that was some good shit. And
I mean, we could sit here and go. Me and Gregbo would get on a wrestling kick and just talk. I mean, it's just crazy.
I have to keep somewhat quiet because I'm a Jim Cornette guy. So.
My Jim Cornette experience was when I worked a short time. I worked head of security at Planet Hollywood, and I had to make sure that he was not bothered. But Jim Cornette came in with his tennis racket and his girlfriend at the time, a redhead girl, and they came in and sat down in Myrtle Beach at the Planet Hollywood, and I knew who he was, being a wrestling fan. And as they were eating, they asked for a high chair so his girlfriend could put her little Cabbage Patch doll in it and feed her. And I went, okay, this is getting weird right here, but that's my Jim Cornette experience.
Yeah.
My favorite thing that wrestling ever did with Impact was when Sami Callihan came out with the tennis racket and was like a manager for another wrestler on old school Impact day or week. And I was like, it was like the week of Thanksgiving, and I'm like, this is so brilliant.
It sounds like he's cosplaying.
The whole thing was a cosplay. The whole episode was just a pure cosplay where they went back to like the 70s and all these wrestlers did their stories. But like you had the Rough Riders, and it was like Jordan Grace and Tessa Blanchard and a few other people, and like it was just so old school, and it was brilliant because it's what wrestling needed at the time, and it still needs it. And I would love to see like 1970s done in 2023. And so they go back to the 1970s, but I digress.
It was good. It's good.
That's why I'm
nowadays everybody's just too.
I could talk about it until the end of time. And then
I mean, I'm the one guy. I don't want to say. Well, you know, it's okay to talk about it. I'm the one guy, and I told Greg, but I don't even know if I told you this. I'm the one guy that if you watch the documentary on the Road Dogg on Jesse James, he talks about the one thing that changed his life was when he got arrested and had to go to jail for being intoxicated, disorderly conduct. I'm the one that arrested him and took him to jail. I got his mugshot picture with me. And he talks about that in the documentary, and I'm always like, hey, I'm the one that took him to jail. He was in Myrtle Beach causing a scene in a You know,
He's
like
telling me the follow up to that. He said that's the
Yeah.
part, that's the point in my life where my life changed because this cop, he arrested me, and I said, man, I don't want to grow up to be like him.
yeah, nobody should grow up like me when I was a cop. That's a whole different story.
All right,
But
back to comics. Back to comics.
yeah. I met Arn Anderson that time too, and I found out the whole story about wrestling back then. Yeah, Arn Anderson was out there with his glasses that were about that thick, and he was trying to beg me not to take him to jail, and all these other wrestlers. And I was like, man, I'm like fanboying right now. I don't want to take nobody to jail. But you know, reality set in. I'm like, crap. I guess I gotta do what I gotta do.
Arn's one of the all-time greats. Back to
Yeah.
Oh man, we could talk a lot about this. I got some
I
cool
have to be
wrestling.
the adult in the room here.
Oh, I'm not an adult, but you guys see the way cooler lives than me. I just sit around doing nothing, and all I want to do is DWI, drinking while investing. That's all I
Hey,
want to do.
that's what I do now. I'm retired. I sit around, do nothing, and write comics. And I say, hey, Gregbo, can you draw this? No, I'm booked.
I'm
And
30.
then he goes, come on, please try to sneak it in or whatever. I said, run it by Gwen. And he goes, can you talk to her?
Hey, truth. Hey, he goes, you need to check with Gwen. I'm like, can you ask her? It's like, you need to ask your daddy. Can you ask him? I don't want to get yelled at.
Hey, she's a sweetheart.
Well, you know, unless you make her upset.
It's all right. It's all right. It's all good. We can say whatever we want here because clearly this week, if you don't know what my show is this week, I'm sorry to everybody else, but I've already reached the limit and then some. Between last night, I had probably two of the most controversial people on in comics. So this is a step down. This is a step
I'm going to tell
down.
you right now, I do not stop until I'm the most controversial guy in comics.
No, you're not going there. You're not doing that.
I have to be. Okay?
Back
And
away.
who has the power to do that? But getting back to Fate 68, obviously there's a bunch of stuff out there. I mean, you still have the Gregbo trading cards, which you have to find the right customer. It is what it is in my store. So that I have them pretty cool. They will eventually move, given that I'm getting into that space harder. I really do like that. I know Zenoscope just did their trading card set, and they did really well with that on Kickstarter. What? They're a good company. They're a good company.
They're not Fate 68 and they don't have Gregbo.
Fair enough. I'll let you win. I'll take the L and I'll just smile. I'll think something else in my head, but I'll just smile. But anyway, the point is that trading cards are huge right now. And so you have that, and it's just a big sector, and it's a huge sector. I mean, Topps just released their Baseball 2004 Series 1, came out yesterday, and then there's a bunch of other stuff that just dropped in cards and is coming in the next 2 or 3 months. I think you just did like a live unboxing of what, 2023-24 Paninis?
Yeah, I'm not a big collector of that stuff, but my dad had a collection that he's collected since the 60s, and he had some new stuff that he never opened, and he's in a home right now, and I'm trying to sell it to make money, and I did a live unboxing of it. I've never done it before, just to see if I could get rid of it, and I got a couple of guys coming down this weekend to look at it. I collected cards when I was a kid, but other than that, I don't know what the new stuff is.
I'm into
We
this.
did do.
I play with baseball. That's all I play with.
Yeah. Well, we did do, Gregbo. Remember at our last BaltCon, we just launched a live stream where we did a leather-bound card set where the backs are made of pure leather of his artwork on foil, hologram, and metal back. And there's only 4 of each. And they're signed and numbered by Gregbo. And he has 2, I have 2, and we sold a few of them right on the spot. Somebody came up and bought them, and it's like the pinups of him with the leather backing on them. I still got a couple. I don't know if he's got a couple, but I'm pretty sure he'll get rid of them when he gets to one of these cons. And we did a live launch on those. So when we do stuff and we do a launch, we do a very, very minimum rare uh, release of them because as a old school collector, I'm like, I want something that nobody else has, and I don't want 1,000 of. That's why when I say I print 30 of a certain book, if I get those 30 and somebody steals those 30, I won't print them again. I'll just do something else. That's how I am.
Fair enough. In which that again, I just bought a 101 from Stupid Little Monkey, and there's only one of those books, and obviously it's a very cool book, and I don't know what it's worth. They say it's worth anywhere from 300 to 600. I don't know what it's worth. I do know it is rare, and I know that if I'm to flip it or sell it, I'm going to be looking for at least 150 or 200 because I paid way less than that. But for right now, I want it for my own personal collection. But it is a 101, and I pulled rare baseball cards and things like that, so I get it completely. But yeah, that's really where I'm at. But yeah, we've been speaking about a lot of stuff. I don't know if you guys have anything else you want to promote, want to talk about.
Well, one of the things is I'm co-producing a horror movie right now, and we got a Kickstarter up for it. Trying to get some additional funds in to shoot here in the Carolinas. Mr. Conley over here put the Kickstarter together for us. Thank you so much. And
You're it, man.
He's going to be in it.
I want to see this movie come to life. It's going to be amazing. Our man Ron Rossman, he's an amazing guy, the director. You got to see what's going on with this.
We're picking up. We've got several sponsors. We've got investors involved, sponsors. We've got a couple of the guys from Walking Dead. We've got Jason Conley over here, and then we're getting an unknown talent that will be unleashed upon the world, and his name is Chuck Sloan.
Chuck is the best.
I'm gonna bring Chuck next time I'm on here, Andrew. I'm bringing Chuck Sloan with you.
I'm gonna tell you, you've never experienced anything till you experience a Chuck Sloan interview.
Oh yeah, you won't know what you've seen.
I love the Chuck Sloan so much. Fake 68 is going to release a Chuck Sloan trading card set. And that's not a joke. I'm being dead serious.
We are, yeah.
Yes. So, yeah, Your It is right now on Kickstarter. It's got an original cover done by Gregbo for their movie magazine, and it's got a metal cover, and it's got some other special stuff done by him. And it all goes to the movie that we're about to make, done in the old-fashioned 70s, 80s style horror movie genre. And it's really good. And I'm going to tell you right now, myself and Gregbo, we won't get involved in something that we think is not going to go nowhere. But this I've seen it. It's great.
What were you going to ask, Andrew?
Is a Chuck Sloan interview a drinking interview?
No.
No?
You might want to have a couple of drinks by the time it's over.
Yeah, dude. Chuck is
You will not know what I love and what it is down. Chuck is one of my son's tag team partners, and he's an older guy, and he wrestled for WWE back in the day when it was WWF, and I used to run the Monster Factory. He was the head trainer at the Monster Factory, and Chuck, I don't even know how to describe Chuck. He's one of the.
I don't either. He's his own personality. I can't. Every time I think about him, I just laugh because I've been around him when he does the things that he does. He's one of those guys that would be like jackass type joking, where you don't know, are you joking? Are you for real? He just does things that make you like question.
A combination of that and Carl Pilkington.
Yeah.
And Chuck does. It is my mission in life. This is everybody asks me in comics, drawing and stuff for 2 years. 1 year ago was my hobby. Now it's my career. So my hobby now is to unleash Chuck upon the planet. The planet needs to experience Chuck's life. It's
Did we lose him?
I'm here.
Oh, you there?
Yeah.
I would say this. There's actually a YouTube series, isn't there, of Chuck? They call me Chuck, or my name is Chuck, or what is?
Heaven. Sweet heaven. Yes, they call me Chuck. No, my name is Chuck. No, they call me. My name is Chuck.
He
That's
just
what
does
it is.
stupid shit, and it's funny.
I'm really gonna lose
I'm,
sponsors, aren't I?
I'm about to lose. I'm about to lose my. It's hard when I get to laughing. I'm trying to just thinking about some of the stuff he's done, but you just never. Oh, he's helped me.
You just need to Google Chuck Sloan on YouTube. That's all I can say. And
Okay.
just start watching his show.
Okay, we're sitting at a con, and sometimes he'll help me. Like if Misty's running the cosplay contest, he'll help me at my booth, and he's sitting there one day, and these people.
Is this the Invisible Man?
No, that's a good one though. That is a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was sitting there at the table, and somebody came up and was asking him something about some of the prints. He, I don't know. I've only been a nerd for about a week now. Oh my gosh! And I'm dying. And the person died laughing. Misty's mom, when we're at these cons, Misty will take these crocheted things that her mom made, like little superhero crochet things. And somebody will come up and say, "Oh, who made those?" That was me. I'm the tri-state crochet champion. And he'll just go and he'll just talk off the cuff. But he's on all, he does that. What is that?
The Invisible Man was my favorite. Telling the Invisible Man is the
you tell that one. You tell that one.
So he's sitting with Gregbo, and of course nobody knows who the artist is, or sometimes, but they know who Gregbo is. So they come up, and somebody says, "Hey, can you do a sketch for me or anything? I'd like to get a sketch from you." And Chuck goes, "Yeah, let me do it." And he grabs it. And what didn't he just sign his name?
Pulls it up a little bit and acts like he's working. Sticks his tongue out from the side. And it's going on paper, erasing. Then he'll look up at the guy, and he'll look over at something else. And he'll come down. He'll go on his phone like he's looking up reference. Takes about 20 minutes. 20 minutes. And then tell him.
Then he takes it and goes, "Okay, I'm done." Hands it to him. There's nothing on it. And they go, well, he goes, "That's me as the Invisible Man." It's the greatest thing. And he wasted that man's time and didn't do a damn thing.
He asked me about, he said a minute ago about doing Chuck's Load trading cards, a little limited set. And so he asked me to send him some pictures, right? And so I sent him one of the pictures. I sent him, it was a 2-part picture. There's one where Chuck's sitting down beside a literal tortoise, right? Like not a turtle, but a tortoise.
The tortoise race.
And he gets down like he's about to take off running. And the next picture is the tortoise ahead and him running behind it, trying to catch up.
He's trying to race a tortoise and he's losing.
Some of the stuff he does, it's just, he's got one of those just this wit that he does it. And me and Misty used to do a podcast called Lost in the Fun House with Gregbo and Blondie, right? So we just did as a joke. We said, "Hey, we're just gonna do this for fun. We're not gonna go after sponsors or anything. We're just gonna do this for fun." So we made up fake sponsors, and we wouldn't even give Chuck any information. We'd just say, "Hey, do a commercial about this sponsor," and he would do this 3-minute commercial just off the cuff, and you would just be on the floor. You would be just so laughing. Oh my gosh! Like
I wish I had a picture for him right now to see what Chuck looks like. He just recently shaved.
I had one because when him and my son were wrestling, their third, they were like the Freebirds. They had a three teammates. Buckshot Carter, it was his birthday. So Chuck actually baked a cake, and then he was going to serve it to people, and we are going to do Buckshot's birthday at ringside. Well, there's these 3 little kids that would always yell at Brett, Buck, and Chuck when they come to the ring, and they'd curse out foul language and everything. So Chuck was cutting up pieces of cake, and he's got his little hat on his head, and he's got his microphone, and he goes over and he hands a piece of cake to this kid, a piece of cake to that kid, and the kid in the middle. Well, where's my cake? Chuck, you're too fat for cake. it's some of the weirdest
You
things
just
I've ever
gotta know
seen.
this guy. Yeah, he is primed for his own series. It's just ridiculous. He's,
He's gonna
oh,
be in your it. Yeah, and he'll call me to talk over some of the stuff in the script, and he will just, oh my goodness, he just has me in tears, just in tears, man, tears.
mm. If you, oh my, I can only imagine what the interview would be, Andrew, if you did one with him. He would, you wouldn't, I don't think you would know what to do. He would have you like, okay, I don't know where to go with this
No,
guy.
well, I've had some really good interviews that people did not expect to go a certain way, and they did.
Yeah.
All I was a bumper, and Hart Fisher was like that, and that was the first one was a really good interview. Where a lot of people were like expect to ask 3 questions, and I acted like a guardrail. The way I described the interview is that we were bowling, and it's like you raise the bumpers up. So
Yeah.
I'd ask a question, and then I would just steer the interview where we're going. But we were going downhill. We were going downhill. The question was that, are we going to steer and get all of us in the toboggan across the finish line? And it's a great interview. It was an absolute
You know
great.
what would be good? Outside of me and Gregbo here, is you should really get Ron and Chuck on an interview like the last week of the Kickstarter, because you got Ron, who is on the 100% business serious side. You
He
got
is
Chuck Sloan.
Hollywood
Yeah.
business. We're gonna get
Oh,
this
straight area. You got
talking
Chuck
industry
Sloan.
buzzwords, and then you've got Chuck.
Those two in an interview, I would tune in to watch because I am dying to see that. And I don't know what they got left on this Kickstarter, but the last few days of it, if you got those two on, McDonald's be like, hey, how much do we need to get to be a sponsor on your show?
I have begged. Misty. Misty runs the cosplay contest for Power Comic Con down there in Florence, and it's a big cosplay contest down there. And she's always looking for somebody, to announce the winners and stuff, as they come up. And usually Ron Rossman does it. I have begged her to let Chuck do it, because I just want to hear what he's going to do with those anime character names.
He's just going to make them up.
He's just going to, it's so funny.
He makes names up. If he sees it spelled a certain way, whether he knows or not, he just makes a name up for him. He just, I'm giving crap, whatever.
I mean, honestly, I got nobody. I think I got one person end of January. I got nobody next week, which is great. I got Steve Streetman next week, but beyond that, but then again, I don't know when half the porn stars that I was supposed to interview during opening week were supposed to show up. So that's a whole different discussion for a whole different day. You'd be surprised. Who wants to be interviewed.
These two guys, I don't think that I've never seen Chuck do an interview. Have you, Gregbo?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I've seen him with Hannibal TV, and gosh, in the wrestling world, and he'll get on there, and oh my goodness, I'm sitting there, and I know what's going to happen. I know it's coming, but I just have to sit there and just watch, because I know any minute. And he'll call me before the interview. Yeah, I'm going to be on this interview tonight there, Gregbo. I'm going to play it straight. I'm going to really get my points across.
No,
and I'm just like, sure you are. It's on there. And it's
a far cry.
Thousands.
Oh, Andrew, dude, this dude's the best.
He takes it to a whole level, man, where I'm just, I just want to cry. So it's so.
He's wrestling promo gold. He's straight off the cuff.
He can cut a promo. He can sit there. You can tell him before it starts. You can say, okay, here's what I want to talk about today, and just say, because I'm saying Gwen's little comment over fish. He will give you a hilarious hour-long interview talking about fish. Like he is the world's foremost aquatic expert. and it's just all going to be just complete shenanigans.
Well, maybe I'll reach out. I'll see what I can pull off. That's all I'm gonna say, because I got to get through my job tomorrow, and then I'm gonna start drinking because it's been that type of week.
Yeah.
And then and this is a short week. I mean, imagine if I showed up to work on Monday. Oh, that'd be something else.
Well, Gwen, like I told you, Gwen dared me before I got on here. She goes, "You ought to drink a whole thing of moonshine before you go on there." I'm like, "No."
Well, I'm a good stewardess where I definitely know what to talk about and what not to talk about.
Yeah.
And you do too. You do too to some degree, because I told you what we can't talk about.
Oh yeah.
I don't.
But I digress. I do want to give both of you a chance to promote yourselves, what you got. Obviously, we didn't get to like 90% of what I had planned. I wrote like all these questions, and we didn't get to like 90% of them. So
Well, you know, whenever I come on here, I'm just going to talk 90 miles an hour and not shut up.
Hey, all I'm going to say is Living Dead Girl. It's the first time you'll ever see Gregbo and I created a character since the 90s together. And plus the fact that I've got one of his original interior pieces of art that's going to be published with a character that he created and designed 100% on his own.
Oh,
It's going to be in the first issue. The Voodoo Girl. Yep, and Gwen. Yep. And he's going to do a secret cover designed, granted, we got our special different, variant covers you just shown of what she looks like. Gregbo's going to do a secret cover on what his vision of what he wants her to look like. And that's going to be released, and it's only available in one of those box sets. So that's one of the reasons why you should get that. Plus, this cover that he did in the 90s is going to be available in the box sets, and we're retiring that cover with a black metal that'll be available in these box sets.
First and last time it's published.
Yes.
Well, it'll be the first time it's published, and then the black metal will be the last time it's published.
Yep. And it's literally history in the making, and the first time he's actually done so much co-creating on this character is ridiculous. And I gotta tip my hat to him, because when me and him get together, man, it's gold. We come up, I get chills when we start talking about stuff. We come up with so many ideas, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. You just cannot wait till the 2024 is going to come, and it's going to bring a lot of great stuff between me and him.
Amen.
And then I'm just going to promote myself. Obviously, I am Pop Anime Comics on Twitter, Pop Anime Comics on Instagram, Pop Anime Comics on Facebook, Pop Anime Comics on YouTube, Pop Anime Comics on TikTok, Pop Anime Comics Collectibles on eBay. And I put out a lot of content. I'm putting out anywhere from 3 to 5 videos a day. So across a lot of stuff, I got a lot of interviews that are released and being re-released. And I can't promise that I'll make you smarter. I can promise I will entertain you. So on that note, everybody, that's all I got. And I don't know who wants the final word.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, I don't think I could have said that any
Final
better.
word. Booyah!
I don't have nothing else but